Hello, I'm Bob Weeks for Wichita Liberty TV, your weekly source for news, analysis, and commentary about Wichita and Kansas government and public affairs. We're broadcast on KGPT channel 26.1, also its companion website, kgpt26.com. Some of you may know me from my blog, The Voice for Liberty, at wichitaliberty.org. There, the motto is individual liberty, limited government, and free markets in Wichita and Kansas. If you'd like to learn more about the issues covered today or to contact me, please visit wichitaliberty.org. You can subscribe to the email newsletter, like the Voice for Liberty on Facebook, follow me, Bob Weeks, on Twitter. Well, if you've purchased anything in Kansas since July 1st, you may have noticed that things cost more. That's because on July 1st, a new statewide sales tax rate took effect. The statewide rate had been 6.15%. Now it's 6.5%. Now, supporters of the tax note that it represents an increase of just 35 cents on every $100 spent. But here's another way to look at it. You used to pay $6.15 in sales tax per $100 spent. Now you'll have to pay $6.50. That's an increase in tax paid of 5.7%. And of course, many cities or counties in Kansas add to this tax. Sedgwick County adds 1 cent per dollar, so the sales tax rate in this county is 7.5%. And had the city of Wichita had its way last year, it would have added 1 more cent, resulting in a sales tax of 8.5% in Wichita. Voters wisely rejected that proposal. When Kansas first imposed a sales tax in 1937, the rate was 2%. It stayed that way for 21 years, and then it started to rise, with one exception a few years ago. So within the lifetime of some of us, the sales tax rate has more than tripled. Now, some of you may be thinking, well, that's okay because, after all, there's been inflation over that period. And that's right, there has been inflation. But the sales tax rate is applied after inflation has caused prices to rise. The state benefits when inflation causes price to rise. Now, sales tax in Kansas is an especially important topic because it applies to food. Very few states apply sales tax to food, and the rate that Kansas uses now is amongst the highest. At wichitaliberty.org, I have calculations and a chart that shows how regressive the sales tax is. Regressive means it hits low-income families hardest. Now, low-income households suffer even more, and proportionally more, than higher-income households. This did not need to happen. Kansas did not need to raise the sales tax rate or any other tax rate. You may remember that Kansas cut income tax rates for everyone 3 years ago. And income taxes were eliminated for certain types of business organizations. So the legislature and governor have had 3 years to reform spending to match lower tax rates. And there have been some small cuts, but not nearly enough. But instead of undertaking a 3-year program to find ways to reform spending in Kansas, the governor, legislative leadership, and a bare majority of legislators decided that they would rather raise taxes than reform and cut spending. This is highly irresponsible. We knew this was going to happen. For each of the last 2 years, Kansas has spent more than it took in as revenue. But there was money left over from previous years that the state used to make up that difference. This year, the difference between revenue and spending was more than the leftover balance from last year. So something had to happen. The state had to either reduce spending or increase revenue. And our leaders chose to increase revenue. Here's some other bad news about our state. A new edition of an ongoing study shows that Kansas school standards are weak compared to other states. And this is a continuation of a trend. Last week, the National Center for Education Statistics, NCES, published a new version of its ongoing study titled Mapping State Proficiency Standards onto NAEP Scales. NCES is part of the United States Department of Education. And as was also found in past years, the standards that the state of Kansas uses to evaluate students are low. Now, this study is important because states set their own standards for evaluating students, and as you might imagine, the strength of these standards varies. There is a national test that is the same in all states, the National Assessment of Educational Progress, or NAEP test. And the purpose of the mapping study is to, well, map each state's standards to a common standard. By doing this, we can determine whether a state uses a stringent or weak standard to evaluate students. This study does not evaluate the performance, good or bad, of a state's students on these tests. Rather, the study evaluates the state and the standards it uses. Okay, what is the result for Kansas? Well, not good for Kansas school children. The state of Kansas says students are proficient when by national standards the students are basic or even below basic. And in some cases there are very few states with lower standards than Kansas, and in no case is Kansas above the middle of the pack. And in the chart I've showed you, there are only 6 states that have lower standards than Kansas for grade 8 reading. Again, I want to emphasize that this study does not judge how well Kansas students perform on these tests. Instead, the study examines and evaluates the state and its public school administrators. And in Kansas, we find that these people, the people in charge of running the schools that teach the majority of Kansas school children, the people in charge of running the schools that consume half of all the Kansas general fund spending, well, these people have deliberately chosen to use standards that are lower than most other states. Okay, do you need some bad news from closer to home? Well, I have some. We've talked on Wichita Liberty TV in the past about the Wichita ASR project. That's the project that takes water from the Little Arkansas River, treats it, and injects it into the underground Equus Beds aquifer. Later, the city can use that water as part of our drinking water supply. So far, the city has spent $247 million on ASR. Last year, the city recommended voters approve a sales tax so that $250 million could be spent expanding ASR. Well, in May, Wichita Mayor Jeff Longwell held a press conference announcing that during the month of April, the ASR project had processed and recharged 16 million gallons of water. He was proud of that accomplishment. And I can understand that some people might think that 16 million gallons is a lot of water. But the ASR project has a design capacity of 30 million gallons per day. So for the entire month of April, ASR processed less than 1 day's worth of its design capacity. And on a hot summer day, Wichita might use 100 million gallons of water. So 16 million gallons is just a small fraction of a summer's day's requirements. Now, the ASR system can draw water from the river only when it flows above a certain level. In April, the river was above that level for about half of the days. In winter, there is not much water flowing, so for January, February, and March of this year, no water was recharged. Well, in May, ASR did better, recharging 114 million gallons. But remember the design capacity, 30 million gallons per day. So the work done in May represents 4 days' design capacity. And the flow in the river was well above the necessary level every day of the month. In June, ASR did even more work, recharging 205 million gallons. That's 7 days' design capacity. And as in May, river flow was above the necessary level every day of the month. It appears that the ASR project is not working as designed. Now, it is anticipated and expected that ASR will not process water every day of the year because the river has to be flowing above a certain level. So when the river is above that level, well, the ASR project really needs to make hay while the sun shines, so to speak. But that is not happening. I've asked the city for an explanation. Why is ASR not able to operate at design capacity? I'm also trying to figure out the cost of ASR, both the cost of repaying the debt used to build it and the cost to operate the plant. But the city is resisting my requests. It's unfortunate for the city if the ASR plant has problems that prevent it from fulfilling its promise. But what's even worse is that last year the city told us that expanding ASR was the best way to provide for Wichita's future water supply. At that time I expressed concern that, being a new project, we really haven't had time to see if ASR could work as designed. And so far this year, it appears that ASR is not meeting its design goals. So it's a good thing Wichita voters rejected the sales tax last year. Otherwise, the city would be spending $250 million on something that appears not to work. Welcome back to Wichita Liberty TV. I'm Bob Weeks. The Independent Institute is a think tank located in Oakland, California. You've seen its founder and president, David Thoreau, on Wichita Liberty TV before. Independent says its mission is to boldly advance peaceful, prosperous, and free societies grounded in a commitment to human worth and dignity. And I think it does a great job. Now the Independent Institute has produced a series of humorous and satirical videos to present lessons about the nature of government. The Independent Institute says, Love Gov, that's the name of the series, Love Gov depicts an overbearing boyfriend, Scott Gavinsky, who foists his good intentions on a hapless, idealistic college student, Alexis. Each episode follows Alexis's relationship with Gov as his intrusions wreak comic havoc on her life, professionally, financially, and socially. Alexis' loyal friend Libby tries to help her see Gov for what he really is, a menace. But will Alexis come to her senses in time? Well, I'd like to show you right now the first episode in this series. It's about 5 minutes long.
Are you spying on that lady?
No. I'm protecting her.
From who?
Herself.
It sure looks like you're spying on her.
Shouldn't you be in school or something?
I'm homeschooled.
Of course you are. Wear a helmet.
My mom says I don't have to.
Well, your mom sounds like a real idiot.
Anything I can do?
Such an idiot.
You're not an idiot, Alexis. You're trusting. It just so happens you trusted someone it was idiotic to trust.
You seemed like such a sweet guy at first.
So sorry. I will buy you all new books.
Well, that seems wasteful, but you could help me pick them up.
Of course.
Thanks.
Gov.
Gov?
Kavinsky, Scott Kavinsky, but everybody calls me Gov.
I'm Alexis.
Alexis, nice to meet you. All right, right here.
So, do you work here?
Unofficially.
What does that mean?
Well, they don't really pay me or ask me to come. I just like to come down here for a couple hours every day and, throw in my 2 cents. Seems like everybody needs to be told what to do. Now, officially, I'm a student. I'm a sixth-year senior.
What are you studying?
Poli-sci, engineering, economics, education, and nursing.
Wow, that's incredible. What are you going to do with all of that?
Everything. I mean, I really want to make the world a better place. Well, just not Iran.
Ready, Lexi? Hey. Can I have those back?
Student withdrawal form. Are you dropping out?
No. I don't know. Maybe. I'm already 15 grand in debt and I still have 2 more years to go. Plus, I kind of have a business now.
Alexis is an amazing artist. Last summer, I taught myself how to build a website for her, and now she's kicking butt selling her shirts and bags online.
And I'm making real money, not made-up internet money or something.
It just seems like a better idea to focus on that rather than going deeper into debt, getting a degree that won't even help us get a job. Look, I made a chart of cost versus benefits. I like charts.
Who is that?
She's my friend Libby.
Education is priceless. I think it's pretty crass to bring up money when we're talking about your future. I mean, you're getting a great deal here. The facilities, the faculty, world-class administration. My dorm has an Olympic-sized pool.
With all the easy money handed out to students, the university has no incentive to cut costs. And every year they spend more. You can see about it here.
Don't let information get in the way of learning. Have you thought of studying abroad?
Definitely not. Aren't those programs like twice as expensive as a regular semester?
And twice as fun. Seriously, where do you want to go? I know people in every country, though take it with a grain of salt what they say about me.
Well, I would love to go to Italy.
Right?
The food, the art. I'm a total Michelangelo fangirl. The artist, not the Ninja Turtle. Well, both.
There is a summer semester in Florence. Do it, do it, do it.
Alexis, you don't have the money for this.
That's what loans are for.
When you don't have the money for it? Sounds like somebody needs an education.
Look, I know some people. If I vouch for you, then I can definitely get you the money that you need. Maybe even a little extra.
You can do that?
Look, I know we just met, Alexis, but I care deeply about you. Maybe more than you care about yourself. And I don't want anything to come between you and the education that you desire.
I would love to go to Florence.
You deserve to go.
But you already have so much debt to pay. How will going to Italy help with that?
You're gonna have a lifetime to pay off debt. A lifetime. But your education opportunities are right now. And there's nothing more important than your education. Except maybe corn farmers.
So, in the video, we see some important topics. A government that knows what's best for you, proposing wasteful spending, and encouraging the accumulation of debt that may not be wise. And what I like about this series of videos is that these topics are presented by showing them rather than telling you about them. When we come back, we'll take a look at another episode. Welcome back to Wichita Liberty TV. I'm Bob Weeks. Well, here's the second episode in the series Love Gov, produced by the Independent Institute.
I'm really doing it, Lib. I got a studio space.
I am so proud of you.
And Gov is super excited to help.
I thought he was against you running a business.
No, now that I'm done with college, he thinks it's a great idea. Plus, he said it might help me pay back my student loans.
Who are you talking to?
Oh, it's just Libby. Are we having a picnic?
I had to confiscate this from some eco-terrorist. He was trying to introduce foreign foods to the local fauna. He didn't have a wildlife impact form.
Is this really important?
society's built on rules and regulations. When people ignore those rules, society just collapses. Then we're all just tearing each other apart like it's the Thunderdome. Although, the new Thunderdome development zone will be a huge boost to the local economy. I got an idea. I gotta make a phone call.
Hey,
She will not call you back.
Hey, Space Cadet, pass me that rag.
You still have these?
Sure. Babies loved them.
Stupid babies who can't keep food in their stupid mouths.
I think you're being unfair to babies.
I'm not angry at babies. I'm angry at the reminder of failure. Isn't this great? I can't make these fast enough. Everyone loves my bibs.
How exciting! I love small business. Not as much as big business, but still. Hey, I got you something.
You did? What is it?
Ta-da! It's what every business needs.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome.
Hey, I can't do lunch tomorrow. I'm totally swamped with orders. And Libby and I are gonna take a stab at optimizing my Etsy page.
Did you say Libby?
I've been researching SEO stuff and making some design tweaks on her site. It's going super well.
Wait, she's not working for you, is she?
Yeah, she's really good at the dorky stuff that's boring.
Analytics suggest that the pink bibs are doing better than the blue bibs by 35%.
See?
Look, the last thing I want to do is tell somebody else what to do. Go away. I'm just a little concerned. I mean, are you ready for this? Hiring another employee, that's a really big step.
She's already been freelancing for me.
Wait, have you been paying her?
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh boy, okay. Well, it's a good thing I'm here, huh?
Now that I know Libby is working for you, well, it's my moral responsibility to protect her.
Thanks, I guess, for caring, but I don't have to worry about Alexis.
Key into this?
Wait, what are you protecting her from?
I'm protecting her from you, her employer.
It's just a small business. It's not a big deal.
It's not a big deal?
Yeah.
Is child labor not a big deal?
What if poisonous, toxic chemicals in these bibs make Libby more incoherent than she already is? Is that not a big deal?
Alexis, businesses are dangerous. I mean, I'm talking marijuana level dangerous. And all these rules have been put into place to protect workers and consumers. So if you want to hire Libby, you're going to need to comply.
I don't know if I can afford this. Maybe I can't hire you.
Kind of sounds like you just protected me out of a job. Now, they say that there's all these regulations to help workers and consumers, but all that leads to is fewer jobs.
Okay, that is exactly why we have unemployment insurance, so there's nothing to worry about.
All these protections are written with good intentions, and I've never heard of a road paved with good intentions that leads anywhere bad. Are these lead-free?
They're 100% cotton.
I'm not 100% sure of that. We'll need to get it tested. We will send you the bill. Don't pee in that one. See you for lunch tomorrow.
And if I follow all the rules and everything, do you think my business can still make a profit?
I don't know, not really my area of expertise.
Well, in this episode, we see the introduction of regulation as a topic, specifically intruding into the employee-employer relationship. And at the end, when Alexis wonders if regulations will allow her to make a profit or force her out of business, Gov replies that, well, this isn't his area of expertise. I might have added that government isn't really concerned whether businesses survive. That's in spite of Gov's contention that these regulations are written and enforced with the best of intentions. But after all, Gov says, there is unemployment insurance. But are regulations really written and enforced with the best of intentions? Well, what does the public choice field of political science and economics tell us? It tells us, as we've seen in past episodes, that government bureaucrats are self-interested, just like anyone else. And when bureaucrats are in charge of formulating and enforcing regulations, we can expect their self-interest, not the public interest, to be an important and perhaps overriding factor. We've also learned about regulatory capture in earlier episodes of Wichita Liberty TV. This is where existing business firms, usually large firms, are able to manipulate capture regulations, if you will, to favor them at the expense of smaller firms. Business firms are able then to use regulation as a competitive weapon. And when that happens, customers suffer. An example is Walmart's support of a higher minimum wage law. Walmart already pays its employers more than many of its competitors. If Walmart can get the government to force its competitors to pay higher wages, well, their competitors become less competitive with Walmart. But customers lose. Well, I hope you have enjoyed these episodes of Love Gov from the Independent Institute. You can find other episodes at its website at independent.org, and I'll be showing more episodes in the coming weeks. And for now, that's all for Wichita Liberty TV for this week. I'm Bob Weeks.